Hello, I am Kate Frank from Colle McVoy. I'm joined by Jody Hallman from Perdue, and you are listening to the CPGGUYS podcast.
Welcome to the CPGGUYS podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPGGUYS.
Hello and welcome to the CPGGUYS podcast, live from the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity, straight from Cannes, France. I'm of course Shri, your co-host, and joining me today is the other co-host, Peter V.S. Bond. When not on the CPGGUYS, I'm also CRO and co-founder at Think Blue Consulting, a management advisory firm focused on omnichannel brands and retail transformation. Please do listen to my older daughter's music at www.riaraj.com. That's R-H-E-R-A-J. And my younger daughter, Laura Raj, is a member of the fast-growing global girl group, Cat's Eye. The new hit, Gabriella, is out on all channels. We recently hit episode 500 with Amazon VP of Ads, Tana Elton, released on June 18th. Please do check it out on all podcasting platforms. We appreciate you leaving us a review and rating on the Apple Podcast platform. It informs us how we're doing and if you're having the right conversations on this podcast. The CPGGUYS were here all week and recorded several episodes with industry luminaries from CMOs to brand and retail media leadership. Enjoy this episode. And now on to our guest today. Let's welcome Jody Hallman, Perdue VP of IMC, also known as Integrated Marketing, and Kate Frank, Colle McVoy, SVP plus Head of Account Management. Today, what we're hoping to cover on the CPGGUYS is the commerce landscape of where consumers are and how brands are evolving to better reach them. We'll talk co-creation, even give some reasons for brands to wing it.
Wing it?
Like it, wing it.
With like barbecue sauce? Or are we talking like what kind of sauce?
We're going to find out.
You've already got me hungry. Go ahead.
In a time when everything is microscopically planned out, no better place than to be here live at Cannes, France, at the festival, Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity. So Jody, Kate, it's a busy week. Thanks for making time. Welcome to the CPGGUYS.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. So happy to be here.
So Kate and Jody will include links to your LinkedIn profile, Colle McVoy and Perdue websites, of course, and LinkedIn pages for our listeners to access in the digital liner notes of this episode.
They like to multitask while they're listening to us. They want to learn more about
That's what people listen to.
I love
Yes.
it.
Don't have to
Check
write anything
us
down.
out.
It's
Yeah.
all in the notes. It's
Yeah.
all in the notes. It's like when you bought that album, that remember albums, and you'd pull it and have liner notes on the inside.
Those are the
Built
liner
into the
notes.
podcast.
I love
Great.
it.
And by the way, there is a link to Cat's Eye in the digital liner notes of every
There is,
episode.
yes.
I
Always.
will visit that. I will.
Indeed. So Jody, we're going to kick it off with you. Perdue, of course, is a well-known brand that has been around with a strong reputation for quality and trust. And for today's consumers who come, they go, they're shopping based on price, coupons, reviews from friends,
Yes.
reviews from websites. How are you actually evolving that brand story of, I want to say legacy, but you're not, legacy is just history in this case, for today's consumers?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting time for us. We actually are such a heritage brand, and we have to pay a lot of respect to the fact that Frank Perdue really made a stamp in advertising at one point, in the early days, and really first one to put a name on a commodity. So bringing that to life and always staying on the leading edge of what that means is being on the leading edge of advertising, even though we're not a brand that some think we're always going to be in the upfront. We really are excited about the fact that we have fourth generation involved in the family, from the family in today's business. It offers us a lot of fresh perspective, the ability to try new things, take consumers to where, take our brand to where consumers are today. And so we've been able to investigate a lot of different spaces. I would say the interesting part, though, is I don't know that our stories necessarily changed. We are still about our high quality, our extra steps, kicking up the category a little bit and making sure that people understand that there's a better way to do it.
Quality.
And so really making sure that quality is hammered home is still that. It's more of the where are we doing it and are we using the right tone in the tool.
The tone is critical. The legend of Frank Perdue commercials lives in my memory, etched in it.
I do feel some of the largest brands in the world, which have, I don't like to use the word legacy because somehow there's a negative connotation. Heritage is what I say.
The heritage.
Yeah.
Some of the largest market cap brands in the world have heritage in them, and often they get attacked for that. Heritage is old school, you got to adapt, you got to twist and turn, but heritage is built with consumer trust over time. So you got to believe in what you stand for, and as long as you do, heritage is what it'll be, and it won't be legacy.
Yeah, I love that.
Building a brand in a category that most consumers consider to be relatively commoditized is a daunting challenge, but I think you've historically and through heritage been able to do that. So, this is for both of you. How do you ensure alignment when it comes to short-term performance goals versus long-term brand building? And Kate, specifically from the agency side, how do you ensure that creative excellence lives within a results-driven omnichannel world?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
I can start a little bit. The big thing for us is that, as you mentioned, right, chicken is a blank canvas.
Yeah.
It is a segment in which we have very, 90% household penetration, consumption nearly 4 times a week. There's a lot of intimacy that consumers have actually with chicken. They're fueling their body, with their choice. And so for us, while we need to always be concerned about our unit movement, our velocities, we need to do right by our retail partners, making sure we're doing everything that way. Yeah. But ultimately, we know that we are offering choices to consumers. We are not necessarily going to satisfy everyone's shopping needs and the pressures that are there in the market. But we do want to make sure that we're provoking a conversation, though, about where your food comes from.
I think a lot of the work that we're doing with Perdue and at Colle McVoy is pretty grounded in the belief that it's not performance or brand, that they really have to have, Perdue has a really distinct brand story. Heritage is part of that story, and making sure that that thread is coming through all the way, from brand building down. So yes, of course, are we optimizing media and units for conversion? Yes, but there's still room to tell that brand story. And for Perdue, that's the people, the heritage, the role it plays in people's lives. So I think a major part of being able to do that for our relationship between Colle McVoy and Perdue is really understanding the Perdue business from our agency side as partners. Do we have status meetings and kickoffs? Yes, we do. Are we also in their farms, on their plants? Would we go out to Perdue? We call it chicken camp. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I am a host of chicken camp.
Yeah. So we're really embedded in the business. We understand the nuance of the supply chain and the sales team, and that allows us as partners to be able to tell that story all the way through, performance and brand building. And I think, as you think about, to your question of how do you think about creative excellence in that results-driven world, I think you have to consider it as creativity is a multiplier. In this instant, it's definitely not a trade-off. So we're not choosing between great idea or performance. We can't. It has to be both and, not either or in that case. So I think that's really important to the work that we're doing with Perdue. So, obviously, as we think about creative, a huge part of what we do that Frank Perdue has been doing for a long time is understanding the consumer and showing up with the right tone.
Tone is so important.
So important. And we want to make sure our consumers see the work and say, they get me, I see myself in that. So there's some levity, there's some humor, and we're just really always trying to connect with the brand.
Yeah, and a little additive to it is, I would say the other piece is, in many ways, we're a challenger brand. While yes, we are the largest brand in fresh poultry and chicken, we are still second to store brands. Right. And selection that's happening just in the retailer, based sometimes just on availability and space. And so we really need to make sure that we are concentrating on hitting above our weight.
Yeah.
The tone being so critical. The partnership with Colle McVoy to have creative that we know is going to multiply itself because it actually reaches and strikes a chord with the consumers. They can relate with it, they understand it, and it tells them exactly what they need to know to make a good choice.
Yeah, particularly the last couple of years, right? With inflation, the rise in penetration for store brands is a real challenge for national brands, right? And
Absolutely.
being able to talk about what differentiates you, and that's the thing, is like the biggest issue people have with store brands is obviously quality, and what you bring to the table is tremendous quality.
Absolutely.
So does it mean, Jody, that the CPG guys can attend the chicken camp?
Absolutely, we would love
Highly
to have you
recommend.
come to a
I
chicken
want to send my
camp.
daughter to chicken camp because I've got this
The earlier the better.
I've got a 2-week gap in her schedule this summer. Not
And
the
you
same
need to
kind of
fill
camp.
it.
I need to put her something.
I don't want to be a filler. I want to learn.
Yeah.
I know you do. I'm just trying.
But jokes apart, Kate.
I'm trying to pass my daughter off for 2 weeks. That's fantastic. There we go.
You talked quite a bit about creativity. We've talked about heritage. So, Kate, from an agency perspective, which is actually executing against these things, what does great storytelling look like in a category like fresh meat and poultry, where shopper decisions are often quick and price sensitive? And I learned something today from Jody that I didn't know, that the store brands have the highest share.
I mean, I think it's in a category like this, it's a lot of it has to do with that emotional relevance and connecting with them. I think people are used to seeing deals, discounts attached to drumsticks, if you will.
Yes.
And so Perdue.
I gotta tell you though, so I don't eat meat myself, but my family does, and I make very specific tandoori chicken for them, and it's the breasts that I have to buy. And I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've never once price shopped, and I always get Perdue. Like I go look
We
for
love
Perdue.
your loyalty.
I don't look for the store brand. I didn't know though. I'm actually a little bit surprised, but go on.
No, I think that's the goal, right? Is to make sure that when people are making those decisions in aisle, that they're not coming down to just what is the price per pound, that we've connected with them already and there's some built-in trust there. Perdue has that. I mean, like you said, with the heritage.
Like if I can't find Perdue as the brand, I'll go somewhere else.
I love that.
We really appreciate the fandom.
Let's go CPG guys and Perdue. Chicken camp is a must now.
Chicken camp is a
That's
must.
all he's going
I
to
just
talk
want
about
to
on the
start
flight
thinking. Sounds like
We're going to chicken
like
camp.
You did.
he knows that's what will happen on the flight home.
That's all he's going to be talking about.
But again, in this category, it can't be easy.
I think, Perdue does make it a little bit easy. They obviously have the family story, and like she said, 4th generation, and so we do tell a lot of that. We really understand the consumer and the audience, and we've found pretty unique insights in our recent work that I think connects with them in a way that feels really honest and fun. I'd go as far as to say so. The storytelling is just so important to continue to build that trust. So they're making that decision.
And the great thing, you mentioned it, right? This idea of having this history in advertising. It is not a history of just hello, here's
Big
my
corporate
name, here's
mogul.
what it is. No.
He was
relatable.
relatable.
He was relatable. He wanted you to really feel connected, as did Jim. And Jim and him were in a number of ads together over a course
I remember
of
the transition period. You watched that, and that made me feel good about Jim, because Frank had basically said, "Okay, this is the next generation," and everyone's like, "Okay, I got it. I'm good."
There's not a ton of brands that you can say that about.
Exactly.
That. Yeah.
And Jim's now been on that journey with his sons in a lot of our pieces of work that's come out in the last 5 to 6 years. And that's the exciting thing, is that it is entertaining. Not always, to your point about some of these larger brands that have a history, they sometimes can get in their own way on how they're actually seeing what was their essence in the past. And we really have been able, with partners like Colle McVoy, to make sure that we still stick to what we know. And it is something that is intimate. It's a serious choice consumers make. We don't take that lightly. And that's why quality is our highest bar. But it is something too where at the end of the day, everybody's answering the question, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to just be
Solving
there.
a problem, delivering an outcome.
Exactly.
So to follow up on that then, Jody, how do you craft campaigns stay true to the values established by Perdue while still driving, the actual outcomes you want? Conversion at shelf or even online?
Yeah, I think for us, the big thing is really making sure that we hone in and have a good communication strategy that we enter the year with. And when I say that, I don't mean it as the cliche, like standard comm strategy. I actually mean it as we take the time to really take a look at how we've navigated maybe our media planning, the upfront, what have we done as far as our media plans? Now let's take a look at what kind of content now do we need to bring. Content demand is so much greater than it has ever been.
My goodness, multiple marketplaces all have their own parameters, where plenty of social media platforms.
Correct, right?
Just the iterations are mind-boggling.
Right, and the fact now that even video, right? Video is no longer, can you just say, I'm going to go into production once a year and I've covered my video strategy. Your video strategy has to be filled with content that can withstand wear out and streaming and all these other, because you're talking then super targeted. So we've actually been really, really excited about a lot of the work that we've been able to do to round out the story. So of course, like we've been mentioning, the family's involved in a lot of our master brand, I guess you would say. But being able to delve into some new projects and go into different directions to round out so that we're navigating what they want to hear.
Yeah. Shri, I don't know if you knew this. I saw this news bulletin the other day. Did you know that video killed the radio star? We got what happened? We got to dig in on that. We got to find out what the background is.
I would argue that Radio Star is back.
Radio Star's back from the dead.
They are back.
Thank you for the good news, because we believe we have great
in-store audio. We're okay with that. We are totally okay with audio. So we do. Thank God.
But let me remind our audience that we're speaking with Jody Hallman, Perdue VP of Integrated Marketing, and Kate Frank, Colle McVoy, VP and Head of Account Management. I can't get chicken camp out of my head, man.
Move on.
So
we'll bring you along.
We will lock you in on that.
You can tell. So this one is for the both of you, but I'd love for Kate to go first. How are you both navigating the growing influence of retail media networks, which now have close to 200 in the world, 100 plus in the US? Every retailer feels they have a right to, I don't want to say take your money, but they have a right to ask you to invest. There's creative, there's messaging, and then the all dirty word of measurement, which we believe no one has perfected yet. And so let's start there, and then I'll come back to you, Jody, with a question.
Yeah. I mean, retail media is changing the game for sure. For agencies, for brands, for platforms. I think it's forcing all of us to be a little sharper with our, context and the precision. But there's no choice but to see that as a massive opportunity. Like it can't be seen as a constraint at this point. So I think
an opportunity is to drive more conversion, full funnel. How do you think of it?
More conversions and creative opportunity. I mean, as the retail, as that landscape continues to evolve, the data
New
that's
ad
available
products being added every
day, and what we can learn about the consumer and the behavior and connect those dots is massive for creative. And I think those who aren't looking at that as an opportunity are probably thinking about it in the wrong way. But I think it's about, it just like it is making us kind of be sharper, there's got to be more intention in designing the work. So it's, there's work that has to perform in those high stakes, high commerce, conversion environments. But how do we continue to connect those dots and tell a strong brand story? I think it's possible, like through all of those. Jody was on a panel earlier this week about retail media, and we're continuing to learn about more formats that are being announced this week at Cannes about what's available in store, and that's really exciting. So yeah, I think it's only opportunity, and it won't just be about, as you think about measurement, where as the landscape and formats evolve, so does our measurement strategy when it comes to retail, and it can't just be about ROAS. Like we can now learn about those consumers and who they are, what decisions are they making, continue to understand them through that channel. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in this category.
When you look at what's going on with retail media networks, most of them are scrambling for how to have off-site inventory, because most likely on-site is pretty saturated at this point. It's really search at the end of the day. So when you look at a retail media network, are you thinking lower funnel on-site? Are you thinking full funnel off-site, on-site, full programming?
Yeah, I mean, definitely at this point, we're going towards more full programming. I think looking at the full story of what they can offer us is really important.
But to some degree, it's changing the balance of power, right? Because for 75 years, only one person in the equation wrote the check. It was the retailer who wrote the check. And now retailers are fancying themselves publishers, and suddenly they're looking for investment. And I think what it's calling for is broader collaboration. I'm not saying the balance of power has shifted completely to the other side. I'm just saying that both have interests, both have needs, and it means you need to have honest conversations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Open and honest conversations. I mean, this is my first trip to Cannes, and a huge portion of my time has been spent really diving into this retail media space. Really and I will applaud, I will not name names, but I applaud all of those that I met with this week. All of them are really thinking about it in the way that they need to help somebody in my position go back into the organization and assure us that it actually can be a part of the media plan and not part of, we've always had this segmentation of that spend has always lived kind of somewhere different. It's always been in battle with trade. And so you've always kind of put these things right up against each other.
Right.
And I would argue that there's a lot of innovation coming down the pipe that actually I would tell you, they're top funnel. They're top funnel ideas. And so the idea that
but they're measurable all the way down to the bottom of
and we mentioned one of them, the idea of, the renaissance of audio with Gen Z is beautiful. And some of these retailers offer 4,000 radio stations. And the experience that they still have. So, if you start to think about it that way, it all of a sudden, how would you ever call that bottom of the funnel?
And a derivative of radio is something, Sri, I don't know if you've heard about this genre of podcasting. that could be big. That could be
we love introductions.
Sorry.
But I still can't get chicken camp out of my head. But Jody, in this world of retail media, the next thing we want to go to is social digital creators. So how is Perdue operating beyond own channels for co-creation with consumers? Are you simply winging it?
So it's great that you ask. We have done it in a couple different ways. We've done it in some ways that are a lot more surprise and delight with our audience through, our owned channels and making sure that when someone showcases their appreciation for us, we sometimes surprise them then with an additional, product delivery. Maybe they can't find all the flavors that they want to try on something that we have. One that really has sparked for us in the last year is the launch of a particular type of product line, which I'm sure everybody really enjoys, but it is air fryer ready wings. Perdue air fryer ready wings. They deliver and talk about the high bar of quality. It makes it a lot easier, right, for us then to really have some fun with how we bring it to market. So it's a great example of one of the product lines where not only did we use creators that are navigating the space, in a personal way, localized way, but we actually took it all the way to finding a professional that actually wings it all the time. So for the Super Bowl this year, we decided to partner with Wayne Brady, and we decided to buck the trend of spending 9 months navigating how you're going to go into production for the Super Bowl and how you're going to negotiate your spot and all that. Instead, we took a 3-month journey at max. And we decided to go live for the entire Super Bowl. And so we stayed live.
So complementary kind of programming as it's going on.
Exactly. So we were reacting to what was happening in the game. We were reacting to what was happening with the advertising that was on. Halftime show, all of it, right, could all be part of how we were bringing it to life. And the entire time, Wayne, his team, his friends, his family were there winging it and just enjoying an improv.
Shri, I'm inspired because we did an episode, we recorded it right at the end of the Super Bowl where we gave our impression on all of the commercials. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to be doing this in real time.
Yeah.
Wing it.
Well, and the thing was, right, the second screen, not going away.
No.
So, and that was 100% the insight. Everybody was still going to be on their phone, even though they were engaged, right? Highest ratings, I believe, ever for the Super Bowl, you know, all these things, but they still had their phone with them. Yeah. They still had their iPad in front of them. Other things were still happening, you know, around
the commercials
them.
on TV, even the ones that were on, I saw a lot of digital engagement through QR codes.
Exactly.
At this point, that's a given, right?
Given,
and I think it's actually a waste of money not to think of the second screen. And here's what it says: starring actor, comedian, and singer Wayne Brady, Winging It saw the 5-time Emmy Award winner perform live on his Instagram account, improvising comedy sketches, jokes, and songs throughout the big game. The campaign also features a series of short comedic commercials that takes full advantage of Brady's impressive improv skills. So you and I are going to have to look that up.
We're gonna have to work on our improv skills.
Homework for audience to look up the commercials.
So
does that qualify us for Chicken Camp?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think we're in, Shri.
It was, I think
we got a lot.
Your question was co-creation. I think it invited consumers in. They were co-creating the content with Wayne. For a legacy, as a heritage brand like Perdue, it was such a good way to show up. They were agile, they were relevant during a really big moment. So it was, and it was brave of the brand to do that for sure.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine as an agency, this must have been a fun campaign, different way, especially when we talk Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. We activate around the Super Bowl for many of our brands. This was definitely a first.
Unique, I would think.
Absolutely unique. And, you know, to be fair, could not have happened if it weren't for the right kind of partner in Perdue. I mean, the level of trust and collaboration that had to happen for us to shake hands and say,
let's go for it.
We have no idea we don't know what's about to happen.
There were some shaky knees moments in that, in that room.
When he was like, should I do a podcast with this guy? He was fretting for at least 2 minutes.
Yeah. But I think, a theme that I've heard here this week in some of the panels is just the collaboration between brand and agency teams. It's an intimate experience. And I think coming out of that, we were great partners before. Coming out of that, I think collectively it's made us braver and faster and more collaborative. And we are now embarking on work as partners that's going to be foundational to the brand and really exciting. But I think coming out of the Wayne Brady activation, it really built a foundation of trust there. So.
So there were many episodes we recorded prior to this one at the show here. And the two words that kept rising up to the top between agencies and their brand partners was trust and transparency.
Yeah. Oh, it's massive. And I think, like I said, it's one activation. Improv, sure, but I think it's kind of just the spirit that happened through that experience and through the work that's continuing to fuel us forward. And I think as an agency in Colle McVoy, it's something that we now seek out in all of our partnerships. How can we recreate that moment? Maybe not literally improv with Wayne Brady, but those moments of vulnerability that kind of help us connect. And, Perdue is an amazing partner in doing that.
Ultimately, we kind of talked about it earlier about some of the, of course, there are key metrics and things that we wanted to make sure that we went back to. But it was really, as Kate mentions, that partnership, that trust that we built. It really, though, ultimately, at the end of the day, the big thing was it worked. It really was a campaign that got us really excellent engagement. We wanted to make sure that Perdue was a part of one of the, second largest food consumption day of the year. Yeah. We should be present. We are chicken. So we want to make sure that we're there. And so not only finding that kind of unique way to do it, taking a little bit of risk, but then making sure that we, could do it in a way where we knew the partner what we were with was going to be really with us from that perspective of, kind of ultimate safety and ensuring that the quality stayed to the same standards we have of our product. Yeah.
Kate, what have you learned about integrating upper funnel storytelling with lower funnel activation across platforms, social platforms like Instacart, retail media networks like Walmart Connect and what have you?
I think a lot of the way we think about it is both with Perdue and other brands, it's more of that kind of story arc and less about the silos of the platform. We all still use the words funnel, but we know that's not the reality of how a consumer moves and interacts with a brand anymore. And the lines are getting so blurred. TikTok can build a lot of brand affinity and brand love, and it can convert. I think smart retail placements, like we've said, like retail media placements can do the same thing. So it's less about where people are showing up in the funnel and more about how we're engaging them as the brand along the way. I think something at Colle McVoy we talk about a lot is building the world of a brand, and that allows you to have that thread through the upper funnel all the way through the lower funnel, and that feels like an exciting next phase of where brands are going that will help with this sort of the omni-channel way consumers are moving and interacting with brands.
And let me flip over that same question to you, which is, when you look across all these platforms, channels, and there's such a diaspora, what are you asking of the agency?
I think that's a great question. We are asking the agency to partner with us just as we are asking our partners that help us with negotiation on media to all sit at the table together to create our plans. No longer do we like to have segmented conversations in that way. We feel really strongly that you can create an excellent media plan that is reaching who you need to talk to, all of, be relevant, be in the right space. But if Colle McVoy wasn't at that same table, they wouldn't necessarily understand what type of creative and delivery and again, we have talked about it a couple of times today, tone. Each channel requires. And so we need to then go into the creative development with making sure that a brief it's not that your brief fundamentally changes, but your brief does need a section now where you talk about where's your flex and tone by channel. Yeah. Because some things are really, you can't just say one size fits all anymore. So that's where I think we really start to see where the magic can happen. Because as we then explore from a media landscape perspective, Colle McVoy is there to hear about how we want to do that and can then start to ideate and create in a way that we are still on campaign, it's still on brand, but we navigate that really, beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's not just about creating, fitting the work to the format. It's about how to make that work for the platform and still feel distinctly Perdue or distinctly like your brand. That has to happen with everyone at the table. Media is creative is media. We have to think about it that way at all touch points.
Awesome. So we're sitting here, as we've said multiple times now, at a festival, and we've flown all the way from the United States, different corners of the country. Love to learn from you what brought you here in the first place, what were you hoping to get out of it, as well as 4 days in, what are some themes that excite you? So maybe Jody, you can go first.
Sure. So super excited that we have been embarking on some interesting discussions and kind of some new pathways. I won't call it a new journey. It's just an extension to the journey we've been on for the last 105 years. But but the nice thing about this particular moment in time is that we're about to really start to dig a little deeper, uncover some of the things that we need to make sure we understand and can articulate as we build up the next generation's loyalty that you have, where you'll leave and go to another store. Love that. We need to build that up. And we need to build that up at the right life stage, because choices are happening for Gen Z at a much earlier point. They're doing a lot more of their own meal planning within even the households that they don't necessarily control all of the funding maybe going into this menu selection, but they are managing their menu. And so that puts that now into they're providing for themselves much earlier in a certain respect. So that really was some of the antithesis of having some of our team really come and start to really unpack what are the drivers that are driving culture, what is the cultural shift that we're seeing with Gen Z. And then I would say 4 days in, the biggest thing is there's a lot, and I've mentioned it a couple, there's a lot in the audio space that really intrigue us, right? The consistency of most Generation Z always having one AirPod in is kind of this continuity of sound. We've been lucky enough, we partnered with Colle McVoy and another partner to create our first sonic branding. So we know what Perdue sounds like. Yeah. And so we created this iconic sound that's launching this year. Yeah. And we know that ultimately we want to make sure then that's in the right space. And so with that next generation, we really feel like that can be an unlock for us.
And then Kate, what excited you about coming here in the first place? Do you do this every year? And then what are some themes you're seeing?
Yeah. Colle McVoy, our agency, we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a mid-sized, full-service integrated team, but we are part of the Stagwell network, and Stagwell has quite the presence here with Sport Beach, and we're on year 3 of that.
We have found our connection next year. We're going to be hitting up for tickets to Sports Beach. No more of those rejection emails.
2 more things. One is chicken camp.
Yeah.
Chicken camp, Sport Beach.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
We have Media Link Beach, all the other beaches.
We didn't really want to be here. No, we really wanted to be there.
It is, it really has been the place to be this week. And I think, for me as a lead account management at Colle McVoy, we have clients here like Jody, and it's important for me to also be here and hear what they're hearing, see what they're seeing. What are they excited about? I mean, that's irreplaceable to hear what's sparking, what is Jody and her team sparking to. And for us to do the same. I think also being part of Stagwell, we're a holding company collaboration to the core. And so to be able to spend a week with other Stagwell agencies and partners and link arms with them.
About how they're doing. Wow,
and
that's great.
We are not, an elbows out holding company. It's a lot of linking arms and working together, and how can we help, how can we all kind of provide solutions for our clients? And so it's been amazing. I think, what have I seen that I'm inspired by? I mean, this is just inspiring to the core to see so many advertisers and marketers here, and but spending time with the work. I mean, the work is, the networking's great and the talking to people, and that's amazing. But the work is probably is the most inspiring thing, to come home and be able to bring that. And big, bold, and simple ideas are what's winning, and that is just such an important thing to remember as I go back and take that back to the agency. So
Kate, by the way, Kate, this is where you and I differ. I'm a Canadian. We're all about elbows
out. Don't touch me.
Must be a Minnesota thing. But one of the things I did want to ask you, Kate, is one of the themes that have clearly emerged in the industry in the last couple of years and kind of reinforced here is creativity and AI. And we've heard lots of opinions from a lot of people on where AI can take creativity. I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah. I mean, we started the call, we talked about the number of pieces of content and video that needs to be out there. I think it's an amazing tool. AI, at least now, and I don't think for quite some time, is going to have the level of taste and craft that I think we can bring to it. I also think right now, this moment for brands, which Purdue is doing really well, but AI is flooding our, as we continue to use it and understand it, it's just AI-generated content's flooding our feeds. Consumers are becoming skeptical. So how do brands, they have to feel alive and real. And so how do you use AI in the right way is going to be important. And part of that will be brands, we're going to see which brands are able to be agile and relevant in the moment, so that consumers see, I know that's you. That's not something,
It's okay to use it. Yeah. You just have to be transparent with your customers that you are using it.
Using it. Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be the next shift. We're not seeing that quite yet, but we will. It's just an incredible tool in our toolbox, but it doesn't fully replace creativity.
So the CPG guy should not have an AI avatar?
Oh, no, I'll take it out. Yeah, you should,
So I can replace, say, my co-host here with okay.
Sometimes I tell him if he speaks
the avatar's invited.
Yeah, he does. He puts the thumb over the S, and it's like, remember, all I have to do is cut this stitching out. You're gone. All right, so let's zoom back out from Cannes, and let's just talk in terms of the world we live in. Are there any particular trends you're watching closely as you plan for the next year or two that you think will have a dramatic effect on CPG marketing beyond kind of what we've already talked about?
For me, one of the probably interesting areas is how brands at large, specifically, of course, I'm excited to see where we Perdue take this, but is in the space of live sports, where we go with live music, where we go with kind of the entertainment space at large. And
each may require a different tone and a different approach.
Correct. But where things like the NIL take this, where you can, as I mentioned, where can Perdue actually start to partner when there are athletes, musicians starting to make their first decisions about how they fuel their body and what they fuel their body with. And so I think there's a lot of interesting things that are going to happen. I think, again, CPG at large, I think has a lot of room to do less logo slapping and do more connection.
I love that.
And
we love a definition of logo slapping. We believe in that. We know it happens.
We're built on logo slapping. Oh no, she's telling us.
I got the message.
We got the message.
There ended the invite to the
we're over. Chicken camp. What chicken camp?
No. I mean, listen. I started out my career, managing a much smaller brand in a location that had a lot of sports sponsorship in one locality, and it really was. That was that's how you did it. You had your logo as large as you could, as close as you could to the scoreboard. You were doing, how many times was it going to get seen during the course of a game or whatever you were doing. It was how we measured it. And so you were a byproduct of your measurement style. I just think now we have all that space that we can actually now do a lot of things, so much more in the digital space and things like that. So you can now actually do storytelling and be in that same realm. Yeah. So you can just have a depth that is more than just the logo.
Awesome. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously shoppable content's been a topic for a long time, but it's interesting to consider in the fresh foods. This is something we've been talking about even this week with platforms like TikTok and Pinterest, just really using that shoppable content. I think fresh food is behind the curve a little bit, and so it'll be interesting to see over the next year and a half as those platforms allow for more, like how that continues to evolve. So I think that'll be something to keep our eyes on in the CPG space. I also think there's something to be said for, again, this is going to sound it's like something we've been talking about for a while, but where I see a shift happening is around purpose, and I think it's so much greenwashing. Every brand has a purpose.
Greenwashing.
Every brand.
It's the first time we've heard that.
Getting some wisdom today.
No, it's true. She's dropping knowledge.
But they're going to want to see, the reality of it. Purdue's been ahead of the curve on that. They have claimed no antibiotics ever, so which is great. But consumers can feel that in practice, and they trust in that. Yeah. So how other brands really live that and show it will be important. You can't just say it anymore. So I expect to see more of that in the next year.
Well, that claim is literally the reason why we'll go to another store, right? So it just hits home. But let me remind our listeners, you can find all of our content by simply going to a web browser and typing cpgguys.com as the URL. If you or someone you know has something to contribute to this ongoing discussion in the CPG industry and retail on the CPG Guys, please drop us a line at contact@cpgguys.com. That easy. To our audience, we can't thank you enough for the clicks, likes, comments, DMs, meeting us at trade shows, coming to our events, recording episodes with us, and our sponsors. We are always grateful for you. The show doesn't exist without all of you. You work with us all year, and we're grateful to have you as our audience and partners. Can't say thank you enough times. Thank you. Thank you. Kate and Jody, busy conference. Thanks for making time for us on the CPG Guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. So fun.
Peter, 4 grueling days. We got a few more to go, but it's been fun doing this. This is the place to do it for sure.
It is phenomenal, Shri. As I've said before, as much as if the number one theme here is creativity, very close second is retail media. It's hard to walk along the beach and not see the influence that publishing is now having on this audience.
With that, that's a wrap of this episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.